I jumped into the book and I just didn't know what was going on. Hey babes, it's time for a reading wrap up. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Isha if you're new here, and if you are new here, I hope you stick around and subscribe for more videos from me. Let's jump right in to this reading wrap up. This is the first reading wrap up of 2024. I'm excited. I'm really excited. It's gonna be a combination of all the books I read in January and all the books I read in February, because I didn't do one in January because I didn't think I read a lot of books, but now we have 25 books to recap on. This might be a long one. I didn't really think this through. All these books are not fresh in my mind. March 4th, birds are also chirping, so the birds are happy that I'm filming this video too. Just saying, we have some good vibes going on right now. Okay, so the first book I started off January with was kind of a rocky one. This was an audiobook too. I did not know what I was getting into when I listened to this audiobook. Had me on a roller coaster of emotions. I'm love. Okay, so this book is following Breland and Cassidy. I'm gonna try not to give any spoilers while explaining this book. Well, Cassidy's father was a serial killer and he got caught. Cassidy lives in a small town. Girl, okay. See, this is... I'm trying to explain this. Okay. So Cassidy grew up in a really small town, and his dad founded for multiple murders across states. He was a truck driver, so he was always traveling for work, so no one really thought much of it. Cassidy, he was getting bullied in school because they found out that his dad was the serial killer that they were looking for. So basically he had a rough childhood. It was terrible for him. His mom moved him and her to a small like remote house with grandfather. So he lived in a small remote house with his grandfather. Like when I mean like remote, I mean like no running water, no anything. Okay, he's basically living out in the forest. And Breland, she is grieving her fiance, right? So she goes on this hike because her fiance was like really into nature and hiking. So she goes on this hike that he went on before, and she basically gets attacked. This is what I say where like I was confused. Okay, I was like, attacks. So she gets attacked, right? And she gets attacked by this dude. I can't remember his name, right? He's important. I rated it 4.5 stars. It got my attention. It kept my attention because I was like, I need to figure out what's going to go on. Cassidy ends up saving her and then stitching her up, and then she ends up staying in his cabin a while, and then you already know like how that goes, but then like more stuff happens and the plot just continues to thicken. So I recommend the book if you are into like a romantic suspense type vibe, because it had my attention and I was locked in. So I don't know how I got from romantic suspense to So to Keep, but I did. So this one I rated like 4.5 stars. I also didn't know what I was getting myself into when reading this book. I want to read the second one. I don't know how to explain this one. So this one's on Rhea and Orpheus. Orpheus is a dust walker. So when I say that I jumped into the book and I just didn't know what was going on. He's a dust walker, right? I don't know when this is based, but it's based like maybe like 18, no, it was a while back. Okay, it's based a while back, maybe centuries back. You know, Orpheus gets a new bride every single year, basically so that the village will have protection against other demons. They sacrifice a girl to become his bride. Girl, a boy, like he doesn't really care. He doesn't really care. He just wants a companion. It's clicking. I'm telling you guys, I read to the beginning of January. It's starting to click back into place. Also, Orpheus gets a new bride every single year because he tends to only keep them around for a couple of months because he ends up eating them. I would recommend it if you like dark romance, paranormal romance. Is paranormal the right term for it? It's not on the same vibes as if you heard about the barbarian alien romances. It's not on the same vibe as that, but it's kind of on the same level. The cowboy takes a bride. So this one is following Joe and Maria. So Joe owns this beautiful ranch, you know, and Maria inherited this little cottage on his land. So when Maria's dad passed, he left her his cottage that was on Joe's land. She like stumbles into the small town. She also recently just lost her job. She was working for a wedding planner. She starts finding her place in town. She was working to try to sell the house, but started wanting to make it into like a wedding venue, and so she starts planting roots down in the town. And you right now how a cute small town romance goes. I rated this one 4 stars. Yeah, it was a solid 4. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Oh, and this one also has a like she's sick, he takes care of her trope. The next one is Georgie Al Long. So this one is also a small town romance. So Georgie used to work for a is either a movie producer or an author, I cannot remember. And she was a personal assistant. Georgie basically was let go from her assistant's job because after she was let go, she came back down to her small town because her best friend moved back to the small town because she's pregnant. She wants to raise her kid back in her hometown. So Georgie's like, I'm gonna come home, I'm gonna help you get settled. And Georgie's always been like focused on somebody else's life. She hasn't really ever focused on her life and what she wants out of life. So she starts to like think about like what does she want out of life, her plan in life. She ends up staying at her parents' house in town, of course. And while she's doing that, the bad boy Levi. So the town is small, but it has like this rich family that owns like resorts or whatever. And Levi is a part of that family. So does not really have a relationship with anyone in his family. He's also staying at Georgie's parents' house because he is renovating his own house at the time. Georgie and Levi end up staying in the house together. Georgie wants to like knock off stuff on her bucket list from when she was in high school of all the things she wanted to do in high school. Starts trying to knock the stuff off the list. Levi starts to help her with that. We already know how that happened. I read this book like 3.5 stars. It was okay. Oh, okay. So the next one is The Perfect Rake. So this one is following Prudence and Lord Paradise. So basically Prudence has been lying to her family. She's the oldest of sisters, right? And she was living with her grandfather or her uncle. I can't remember who she was living with, but she was living with a man who was a gambler, abusive. She writes to her, I can't remember what family member he is. I think it's her uncle, but it's not clicking. She writes to him, goes down to London so all the girls can get a season. She doesn't really want a season, so she lies and says that she's engaged to a duke. But she's actually engaged to this one dude she's been engaged to since she was 16. They write back and forth, but the dude, he's been like a ghost for years. So hey, you know, she was very loyal, better than me. But you know, it's been like 4 or 5 years. I'm barely hearing from you, and you in India? You think I'm about to be 10 toes down? Are you? Anyway, they were engaged. So she didn't really have a season. She didn't really have a coming out. And she also didn't have that because of her relatives she's staying with hated the girls, basically. She gets to London, tells her grandfather that she's engaged. That's why she can't have a coming out, because she wants her sister to have a coming out, but she can't really tell him who she's engaged to. The dude she's engaged to, Patrick, works for her uncle, I believe. So she tells her grandfather that she's engaged to a duke, because she ends up stumbling upon the duke's house early in the morning, that's where she bumped into Lord Paradise. Lord Paradise pretends to be the duke. He's not the duke. That's his cousin. They're having the banter back and forth. It's really funny, really cute. I really enjoyed this historical romance. Like, I'm gonna tell you, the banter was just everything. Like, the jokes, hilarious. I loved it, okay? I loved it. I rated this one 4.5 stars. Paradise was a rake. That's why the perfect rake. You know what I'm saying? Did not want to get married. For good reason. Basically has to pretend that she's engaged to Lord Paradise. So they're fake dating. Basically has to pretend that she is fake dating Lord Paradise. And as it continues to progress, they both start to develop feelings. You know how it goes. And he's really good with her sisters and everything too. So I liked it. Okay, so the next one is Texas Destiny. Now this one was a mail ordered ride. So Amelia is engaged to Dallas. She arrives at this train station. The person that is standing there is not Dallas, it's his brother Houston, because Dallas recently broke his leg. So they are having to go on a long commute together to get her to her fiance. Houston and Dallas were both in the war, but Houston got really bad injury on his face, not used to his attention. He's never really had it. He's also kind of like socially awkward. He's very quiet, doesn't really say much. Him and Amelia start to bond, start to get to know each other. Ordered bride, it's like a friends to lovers type vibe. I rated this one 4 stars. So next one, we got into UK, British, the London type books. Does that make sense? I don't know, but we really got into like UK books this year. But we've been into them. We have been into them, but we really got into them in the last 2 months. This one is Enemies to Lovers. Now, when hearing this title, I said, you were made for me. So I rated this book 3.5 stars. Now, this was kind of a low rating for Enemies to Lovers book for me, because normally I eat Enemies to Lovers books up. I love them. They give me life. Fun, Laura and Sunny. So Laura and Sunny college together. He ended up getting an internship at a company and dropped out of school because he already had his full-time job. Both had the internship at the same place together. It's like years later. They're working at the company together now, and they really do not like each other. They're like competing all the time. Basically, the competition gets really bad. Their bosses send them on a secret couples retreat for like famous couples that are in trouble. So it's like celebrity couples going on a retreat. It's like really exclusive, no phones, no one knows where they are type vibe. So they have to pretend to be a couple. So they're fake dating. They hate each other. And it's also like kind of like a workplace romance, because they're like working as doing this, but like they're on a retreat. Yeah, they didn't get together to the very end. And then even when they got together, it was like Next one is Muscles and Monster. I read this one about like a 3. This is my favorite. I read it on Kindle Unlimited. Atlantis and Tegan. It's like a part of this monster series. Tegan's a human. She's a cake decorator. And I believe Atlantis is like a werewolf. Atlantis and Tegan own businesses next door to each other. He owns a gym and she owns a cake business. They bump into each other and then she starts going to his gym. She's the first human that starts going to his gym. He didn't give me that oomph, so I was just like, okay. Now this one was, I think, my favorite one from January, The Neighbor Favor. So this one was so cute. Thoroughly enjoyed my time. So stinking cute. Her sister's book just came out too. Okay, I cannot wait to read it. The Neighbor Favor is following Lily and Nick. During the prologue, Lily is talking to this author. Their pen pals are talking back and forth. She loves his books. Lily is an aspiring book editor. Now she's an assistant to an editor. All the time they were gonna meet up and everything, but he decided to ghost her because he's not actually British. He just didn't want to get like found out that he's not British. He writes British YA books. Their moments that they had together were just so cute. The beginning of the book hooks you. That maybe like a year later, Lily is living with her sister in this apartment building. She keeps bumping into her neighbor, Nick. She hears this pep talk that Nick gives somebody else in the building after what he wants to basically get the girl. He ends up getting the girl, so Lily's like, I need him to help me get a date to my sister's wedding because she's tired of her sisters always hooking her up. Lily gets Nick to help her find a date and basically help her get better at dating. That's how they like start communicating and talking all the time. Everything clicks in Nick's head that the person that he was emailing is right next to him. Love the sisters. I loved everything about it. Violet's family, and I love Nick's friends too. It was just a really good New York romance. If it's one thing about me, I'm gonna love a New York romance. If it's one thing I'm gonna do, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so next one is a novella. It's The Love Connection, following Bennett and Ollie. Bennett is a historical romance writer. He works in something with numbers. And Ollie owns a paint grooming business in the airport. He's always traveling for work, so he's always passing by her business. So she always waits for this man to walk by every single time. They end up meeting because one of the dogs get loose and Bennett ends up catching the dog. They start to build a relationship because writing slump. So she starts inspiring him. She agrees to become his muse. So she becomes his muse. They become friends. They're flirting the whole time. It's adorable. It's cute. They rated it, what, 3.5 stars. The Fates Connection is following Gia and Felix. Gia is also Bennett's best friend. Gia and Felix end up meeting at the airport. They spend like amazing New Year's Eve / New Year together. They both go on their flights. They think they're never going to see each other again. Both work in academia. She ends up having to pick up this dude that she cannot stand because he's always writing bad reviews on her scholarly papers. She ends up picking up Felix, and Felix is the dude that she had the airport escapade with. Is that the right? I don't know. So they end up having to work together, enemy celebrities as well, because they don't really like each other. I like that. I rated 3.5 stars. The next one was The Broad Test. Now, I did not read The Kiss Coda and I did not read The Heart Principle, but I did read The Broad Test. So this one was phenomenal. Okay, I rated this 4.5 stars. Following Kai and Ismay. I'm gonna like do a speed cap. So Kai is on a spectrum. His mom goes to, I believe it's Korea, to find him a bride. She's interviewing all these girls, can't find a match. She ends up meeting Ismay in the bathroom at a hotel cleaning. They get to talking. She's like, you're a perfect woman for my son. She flies her to America on a visa and has Ismay move in with Kai. Ismay also has a daughter, so they end up living together. So I would say forced proximity. Kai is literally adorable. I love both of them. Like, Ismay is just strong, independent, strong-willed woman, and I love her. You need to read the book. This man went to a wedding and had a book and pulled out a book and started reading it so he doesn't have to talk to people. The next one is Twice Shy. This one is also from the same author that wrote You Deserve Each Other. This book is alright. It's following Maybelle and Wesley. So Maybelle ends up inheriting her aunt's house. Her and Wesley end up inheriting the house together. Wesley worked for her aunt, and Maybelle hasn't really seen her aunt because her mom basically caused a drift between the two of them. She ends up moving to the house, and when she gets there, she realizes that it's like a hoarder house. She also realizes that she is sharing the house with the man, the actual real man that she got catfished with. Also got catfished around the beginning of the year from this girl that was her friend from work. Catfished her with Wesley's picture. So she's in shock. Anybody would. I would simply pass out, you know? Also, Wesley like this super shy. Like, he's really shy. She just thought he was really standoffish and really mean, but like, he just didn't know what to say. I think that's really cute. And they start working together to minimize the house and declare the house. Maybelle wants to make it into a hotel. He wants to have like a little farm for animals. They're doing this in like a small town in Tennessee. Okay, so the next one is Mickey Chambers Shakes It Up. up. Probably Mickey and Diego. Diego owns a saloon. Is that a saloon? I think they call it a saloon. He owns this bar, and Mickey can't remember what it's called, but she teaches classes at a university, but she's not on like the tenure, like she's not on the team, so she only gets paid for each credit that she teaches, and her classes keep getting cut short. She also has a chronic illness. Her medicine is expensive, so she's trying to pay for everything without having to ask for her parents' help, because her parents were like smothering her when she was growing up, when she first like discovered that she had it. She wants to be independent. She's a grown woman, you know the vibes. She ends up working for Diego at his bar, saloon, or whatever. He's also her student at one of her classes. He went back to school. He also lost his wife, so he's grieving. We have all that happening, and then Mickey stumbles into his bar. She's like this bright sunshine. It's a grumpy sunshine. Working together. Rated 4 stars. The next one, waiting to read this book. I don't know why I was waiting. I bought this book last year, beginning when it first came out. Pre-ordered it, got it, right? Things we have from Reddit, really enjoyed it. Didn't love it as much as I loved The Things We Never Got Over. That one was a 5-star read. Things We Have from the Light was probably like 4.5. It was okay. It was good. It was good. It was good. But it wasn't like, I love you. So this was following Alina and Nash. And Lena is Knox's best friend. She comes into town. She's investigating something. No one really knows why she's in town. Nash is a wounded hero. He got injured. He's recovered from that. They also end up living next door to each other because she moves into one of Knox's apartments buildings. So they start bumping into each other all the time. He feels she's a breath of fresh air. He feels like himself around her. So then they start spending more and more time together. It was a really cute small town romance. I love small town romances. Like all the characters that pop up in the book, like you see them all. She never got over. During Naomi and Knox's wedding in the book, I cried. There's no way I'm this emotionally attached, but I am. Their banter and the way they just would like go at each other, I'm like, yeah, y'all are adorable, y'all are cute, and I love y'all. So it was a really good book, and I cannot wait to read the next one, which is Enemies to Lovers, because you already know I'm gonna eat this one up. I feel like this one's gonna be a 5-star. I feel like this one's gonna be a 5-star too. So this book is following Sophie. So I rate this book 3 stars. The beginning of this book is basically Sophie cheating husband pissing me off. So he cheats on her. In the book, they try to fix it. They go to counseling. She's like, if this ever happens again, I'm leaving. Happens again, she leaves him, right? Love that from our girl. He's a prince in this town, royalty. She's an event planner. She restarts her whole life. She leaves her husband. Love that for her. She leaves her husband, restarts her life, moves in next door to this man. I can't remember his name. You don't really see a lot of romance. You see a lot of her cheating husband. Too much of him, I would say. She keeps bumping into her neighbor on the commute to work. So she bumps into him all the time. They don't get together until like around the end of the book. Okay, so next one is Shades of Pink. This was also an audiobook. So this one is following Dane and Lola. So Lola Pink, her grandmother recently passed away and left her her business and her house and everything, right? It's falling apart. So she needs to find money to be able to convert it into like the business that she wants. Here comes Clark. He is a billionaire, socially awkward man. Okay, yeah, no, I love those. He comes to Lottie's for help to investigate missing files because he owns a technology business. She's gonna be on the hunt to find the missing files, so they end up working together doing all that. She has to live at his house. Okay, so this one is not the man I thought he was. It's kind of like, girl, get it real. Following Madison and Toby. This one's 4 stars. This one's also by the same author with the cheating husband. So Madison and Toby work around the same field. Madison is a travel agent. She's always traveling. Toby is a photographer. They start hanging out. They start working together. They start going on business trips together to basically resorts that she was staying at, and they were just giving her like the best accommodations. And then she was like, they would read the reviews, and the reviews would like be terrible. So basically she has to redeem herself. She has to go back to resorts as like a regular person and not like a travel agent. She ends up doing that with Toby. They start spending more time together, but they're friends. The whole time she thinks that this man is gay. I truly do not know how she thought this man was gay for so long, but she did, right? She never asked him if he was gay or nothing like that. She just assumed. For over a year, this man was in love with this girl. In love with her. She had no clue. It was a slow burn. They were friends. Look, when I read UK books, I read them for the friendship and the plot, because these are the slowest of slow burns you will ever get in a slow burn. They didn't get together until the very end, and then it was over. Okay, so I'm here for the plot. I'm here for the characters. I'm here for side characters. I'm here for all that. Not really here for the romance. Like, moving on. So this one's calling Flair and Matt. So Flair was working for her boyfriend. She gets in this habit of falling for men that are terrible, that are liars, deceitful, gaslighters, you know, being in a relationship, talk to men and staying with them. and this one just happens to be her boss. She also happens to live with him. We go on this trip. He has to be right. He has to prove that he knows what's going on. So he lied to one of his clients and said he went on this hike, never been on the hike before. So now he's lying and saying he's an expert. The whole beginning of the book was hilarious, okay? There's multiple parts in this book that's just like hilarious. Fleur grew up in a group home. She didn't know her parents. So Fleur and her boyfriend at the time, Jasper, ended up going on the hike at this resort. Matt is their tour guide. Matt's parents also own the resort, right? Jasper ends up breaking up with Fleur at the resort, in the restaurant, in front of everybody, firing her and kicking her out of the apartment, all in the same breath. Hate that man. That ends up helping her get her stuff from the apartment, and then she also ends up getting a job at her parents' resort. They start to bond, connect, you know, yada yada yada. They should have a third act breakup. Didn't love that, but I really liked the book. It was a 4-star read. Loved once. So this one, she was kind of getting on my nerves. If I was in that position, I wouldn't know how to act. So I can't really blame her for the way she was acting. So this one is following Lily. So Lily lost her basically brand new husband in a car accident. She watched it all happen. Once that happened, she lived in a small town in a village. Everybody knew what happened. Everybody was talking about it. You know how small town gossip is. She got tired of hearing it. She moved to an exclusive house by herself. I thought a romance writer. I love that for her. Her brother's best friend, Jack, that she also like grew up with, is moving back home and trying to build up his business again. Lily has this big house. Her brother basically says, well, come stay with her. She has all the room. He ends up staying there, kind of like forced proximity, because she like likes her space, likes to be alone. He ends up getting her a dog. They end up spending all this time together. After it started picking up, I was like, yeah, I really like this. So this year, one of my main goals was to get into self-help books. So I got into Your Sole Purpose. So this book is basically just like diving in deep to the purpose of life. It really just helps to change your perspective on life. I recommend it if you're trying to get into self-help books like me. The next one is also on my UK type kit, Just Say Yes. So this one's following Maddie and Patrick. So Maddie is the wedding planner, and since the pandemic, her business has been picking up really slowly. So she gets to plan this wedding for this really rich American girl. Her house is kind of like falling apart, so she's trying to like make sure that she has enough money to do that. Madeline also lives in a small little village. Best man to the wedding that she's currently planning is Lockham, because best friend is a professor, so traveling to America for work, she goes with him. So Lockham basically has to help plan the wedding with Maddie, so they're always spending time together. I would say it's kind of forced proximity because she's trying to stay away from him because she doesn't like to date or mix business with pleasure. Lockham is like this tall 6'5". He's also a smart ass. Like he comes with the wit. He does. He's also Irish. I know I was eating it up. So this one's following Libby and Charlie. So Libby is this blogger influencer girl, right? Charlie is this corporate man, super good with numbers, finance, all that. They end up meeting because Libby's best friend's boyfriend is Charlie's brother. So she needs help with her taxes. Charlie comes over to help her with her taxes, and they just start spending time together all the time. Like they keep living into each other, spend all this time together. I love it. They become like really good friends, like best of friends. They put each other in the friend zone. They're always saying like, no, we're friends, we're friends. I like the book. Did not like the love triangle in this book. Why? I'm not a fan of love triangles. Like some love triangles, I'm like, yes, I'm eating it up. But 9 times, well, like 8, like 7 times out of 10, I'm like, why did they have to bring this man in? Brought the man in. They brought in Charlie's best friend, and they drug it along. They drug it out. Alex is Charlie's best friend. He did not need to have that big of a role as he did in the book. I feel as though the love triangle could have lasted maybe a chapter or 2. Why was the love triangle this big of a chunk of the book? I'm just like, I don't want to see this. I don't care for this. He ended up like dating multiple people at once. So he was dating her, and he was also dating another girl that he started to like. I'm just like, bro, because she didn't really like the man for real. You could tell she didn't really like the man for real. Oh yeah. So that was the last book that I read in February/January. That is the last book of this reading wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.